Hey everybody, it's Roxy Ayers. I have to be honest, I probably experienced some of the longest, and I talk a lot. I mean, almost an ungodly amount. Ask anybody who knows me or who plans on listening to me. And, but I had some crazy talker's block. I wasn't able to find these things that really get you and get you thinking, and then you can just talk freely until I got slapped in the face with some kind of inspiration. And there was no block after that. And no, I didn't get slapped by somebody, but I did get slapped by an experience with my family. My father had a birthday, and he turned 75, and I know I look really good for somebody who has a dad that's 75, right? Here's hoping. Don't do any weird commentary because that just makes it awkward. Because I'm a little self-deprecating, but I don't always want, a positive response or a horrible response. So it's hard to say. So I digress. So what I'm talking about is I'm talking about I went to this birthday party. Well, I didn't get there yet. I was tremendously late to this party. And it was mind-numbing in a way because when you have MS and things kind of like it, you are out of control and you have to release it to the universe or something in hopes that you get somewhere on time and that people care enough. And don't get me wrong, the people in my life care tremendously. But today wasn't my day, and my dad's birthday was across town at my Aunt Sheila's house, and she has an amazingly beautiful house, and I was so happy that she invited everyone. And my sister was the one throwing it. Yes. And let's say this. I did a video a little bit ago, and she's kind of ornery, kind of serious, but she has a different animal as far as MS is concerned in her life. She's able to do a lot of stuff, so she's really busy, and that's awesome. And she was so excited because she was able to muster up enough energy to do this party, and I don't even know how she did it, and she pulled it all together with Aunt Sheila's help, and hopefully Ezekiel, her son, was a help. You never know about teenagers. And he just turned 13, and it's a hard time. So anyways, I was wondering about all these things, and apparently Marissa had some ups and downs and was forced to use her MS cop-out. And really the truth is most of the time they're right on. It's not like you're faking it or it's a problem or anything you're doing is not normal for what an MS person deals with. But it was crazy because she, I guess, flipped out a little bit and then maybe flipped out again. It's hard to say. I wasn't there, but I get there finally, and it was weird because it wasn't necessarily handicap accessible to get in, and it was sort of awkward because then I had to go down the street with my walker, which it was hot out too, and that was a pain in the butt, and that probably got my sister in the boo-boo too. So I know I'm late, and I mean really late, and I had to walk along the sidewalk, and then I was supposed to go in the backyard where the party is being thrown, but there was all this rocky kind of stuff on the ground, and it wasn't necessarily accessible. So then I had to go in the house instead. So I went the one way, and then I went all the way down and back around, and then made it to the house and got inside, and lo and behold, things were moved around to pull stuff out to put outside, and I was blocked in the living room. So I had to maneuver myself through couch, chair, whatever else, and it normally doesn't look like this. Aunt Sheila is just so good at doing these things, and her house looks beautiful all the time. So I get finally over the mountain of couches and or tables and this and that, and it was weird because I get in the door and I finally make it through the couches and all the stuff, and then I get through into the kitchen, and my sister comes out, aka She Beast. She Beast MS style comes out and is screaming at me. And where were you? It was supposed to be us and we were going to do this. And you suck and da-da-da-da-da. And I was already full because I'd already dealt with being late and it was hot out. And we know MS is a thing. And then I had to get all the way from finally when I got to the place sort of on time, reasonably. I had to climb up the sidewalk and through the things and back through the house. And I finally get into the kitchen where she runs in to let me know what a jerk I'm being. And all I could do was cry. And I always do. That's my button. That's my button. Some people, you press their button and they scream and they yell and they're frustrated. And that looks a lot like my sister's button. But mine is instant tears. And I could not stop. I was borderline hyperventilating in my tears like a little kid does. And the family kept coming up to say hi and I couldn't even talk. And my sister was glaring at me because she's like, really? Roxanne, you're going to do the cry thing. And I was. And I mean, if I could have changed it, I would. But I was so gone because I was so tired and frustrated and hot. But I didn't know that she was dealing with very similar feelings, but in a really frustrated way. She worked really hard on this party. She spent a lot of time putting it together and making it happen, and and her sister couldn't even make it on time. And I don't do anything. I don't show up and do anything. Because really, that would be more of a pain in the butt for her to watch my slow butt move stuff around. So it's not necessarily a good sight if you're going to give me a project. So I think, I know it was a moment where I realized that my frustrations lined up right along with my sister's, and it blew up. And it was awful. Finally, I came off of my cry fit, and Marissa was like, really, you're going to cry, and everybody's going to think I'm awful, and whatever else. And you know what? Maybe she was a little aggressive and angry, but that's how she deals with her frustrations in that way with her MS. And sometimes she gets emotional, but really, it's going to be a yell fest. But that's okay. I'd rather do that than a quiet little cry thing where people think you're mental. And, it's like something a child would do. So, anyways, that happened. She had her MS moment. A tale of two sisters with MS. And the same trajectory, but with different bumps in the road. How will they react to this situation? Well, I'll tell you how they react. My sister screams. I cry, then my sister's mad that I'm crying, and then I'm mad that I'm crying, and I'm mad that she's making fun of me that I'm crying, and then there's a bunch of weird feelings. Thank God the family was so amazing and kind of eased the party over towards them, towards the one that they had at the other end of the yard, up to where I was crying like a baby. And my sister smiled and looked at me like, there you go, making me look bad. Like I'm a big old jerk. And you know what? She wasn't. She was allowed to be frustrated in that situation. She was allowed to be angry because she was hot too. She didn't feel good either. And then I was hot, but I didn't do anything but just show up. And then I got screamed at and I'm like, ooh. And we call that hanging lip. If you watched my first episode talking about my sister, this is, like I said, this is Saga Number 2. I think that if we can learn how to see people the way they are and the way that they react to some of these situations and try to work with them, and it's not easy because we're crazy, me and my sister in our own rights, in our own ways, and but it was an opportunity for us to see each other in this moment and for the rest of the family to see how we operate when we're frustrated and we're sad and this and that. But I'll tell you this. I was late to that party, so that's on me. Number 2, my sister works really hard. She takes care of my niece and nephew with all of her might, even though she has MS. It's not the same, it's not as crazy, but she's still tired and she's still upset sometimes and but she has to keep moving on. And the strength and the power she has in her blows my mind. So I want to spend this one thanking my sister. And also thanking my cousin Teresa, which is Aunt Sheila's daughter. And she was like, Roxanne, you better do a video about this. And so I say, okay. And it was so nice that everybody was so accepting of my crazy, my boo-boo lip. And we made it through. And me and my sister walked out together. And like I said, she's an amazing woman in her own ways, with their own strengths. And mine is my words when I'm not crying and I'm not upset. But everything turned out okay. Until the next episode, of course. There's always one because we're sisters and we're annoyed with each other and the way that we live. But anyways, I hope everybody takes an opportunity to listen to people and to embrace their ways of dealing with their MS, or people who don't have MS, and what they need to see and hear from somebody that they love that has MS. So that's all she wrote, guys, and that's me just fighting my way out of talker's block. And I hope you tune in, and I hope you like it. And if you do, please comment so I know what's going on, and just so I know that you guys actually do watch it. I'm going to end this with supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. If you do it at all, it won't be as atrocious. Please watch my show, and it's going to be kind of neat. And I'll know if you didn't because you don't comment on this crazy ending. Okay, so anyways, much love, guys.